Hey, how are you? I'm coming back with a topic that I created on Wikipedia. Wikipedia now has a talk section where you can go in and you can talk about the articles that they're posting. I think they plan on using these topics to update their information where it's more intellectually accepted. Well, I was going through the population, and this actual topic, let me go back up to the top here, is called Race and Ethnicity in the United States. So I go in and I created a topic based on that article. And my topic says African Americans are not an ethnic minority when the ethnic identifications are broken down by group. According to Wikipedia, African Americans are 14.1% of the total population. So I'm not making a claim. I'm using Wikipedia's own information because this is how I get these people. I don't just come up with my own quirks and my own opinions. I go and I read what they said, and then I come and I go versus that. So I use a wiki statement. There are weak and strong social constructs. Weak social constructs rely on brute facts, which are fundamental facts that are difficult to explain or understand, such as quirks, or institutional facts, which are formed from social conventions. Strong social constructs rely on human perspective and knowledge that does not exist, that does not just exist, but is rather constructed by society. And this is what a social construct is. The social construct, black and white. Yet we don't have a social construct of these antiquated terms called red and yellow, and they're never used because they're antiquated and outdated. So I state a true representation of demographics demonstrates by ethnicity diversity amongst the Europeans. German Americans are ranked 2 in the United States population, meaning they're the second largest. There are 43,100,000. They are 13.26% of the U.S. population in 2017. Regions with significant populations. This is lower than the African American categorization noted at 14.1%. Lastly, the third largest population by ethnicity are Mexican Americans, 36,668,018, 11% of the total U.S. populations. Mexicans rank number 3 in the largest ethnic group when broken down by their true ethnicities. The uses of black and white were formed from social conventions and are not mathematically correct. I will continue by posting more examples of ethnic identities that supersede racial categorizations, black and white. So then I go and I began to post. I began with the Swedish American total population, 4,374,703. They represent 1.4% of the U.S. population. This was the most recent article listed on Wikipedia dated 2009. My point is that it's not a correct assessment to use white as a categorization of true ancestry. All of the categories are seen here on Wikipedia for everyone who's American. This is indicative of discriminatory cheating by using false percentages of people presented in the census. America should be ashamed that it uses such an antiquated description in the 21st century. We must navigate on intelligence based on we are living in the information age. Thirdly, I put Italian Americans. Italy's United States total population 17,222,412 2013 represents 5.4% of the total population. Italians are only 5.4% of the U.S. population. This is direct evidence that white is a social convention and is really a characteristic of illiterate terminology being used to discriminate against all other ethnicities who are non-Europeans, not non-white. We're all non-white and non-black in true genetics and ancestry. French Americans. The French American total population is 10,329,465. They represent 3% of the U.S. population. Only represent 3% of the U.S. population. What does this say in real mathematics and equation? It says white is not an ethnicity and race is not an ancestry. It's a description or adjective to describe, not define people. It is also antiquated and low IQ to push it on a supposedly intelligent country like America. Dutch Americans. The total population is 4,533,617. They represent 1.43% of the U.S. population. Certainly aren't a major percentage here at 1.43% of the U.S. population. Spanish Americans' total population, self-identified as Spaniards, increased to 14,987,420. No percentage noted. Polish Americans, 9,500,000. Estimate in 2017 self-reported around 3% of the U.S. population. Only 3% of the total U.S. population is not a majority position. This has been a problem because it disenfranchises African American, who are clearly a larger group at 14.1% of the total U.S. population. It's shameful, in fact, and it's evidence of discriminatory patterns and census counts that produce the population percentage numbers. So unfair. However, the demographics are changing faster than Europeans are being born. Shameful on behalf of the U.S. government, on the U.S. government's part to have allowed such a travesty. Swiss Americans, 0.9 million in 2013. They are 0.3% of the U.S. population. Only 0.3% of the total population. Shameful to use skin rather than the true ethnic ancestry. Shaking my head. Who would have thought this was happening in the U.S.? They're using a false identity to prevail to a false majority. Icelandic Americans, total population, 42,716. No percentage rate. But they're counted as part of a majority, even though they're all from Europe. What does this say about a racist American system that purposely using false notions to prevail under their cold white social conventions to allow them benefits? Shameful at best. It shows how unfair they are from this information. That's why I'm using Wikipedia versus Wikipedia. Wikipedia must correct this information. It doesn't reflect these percentages rates under the title African American. There were 37,144, 37,144,530 non-Hispanic blacks, which comprise of 12% of the population. This number increased to 42 million, but it's 45 million actually, according to the 2010 United States Census, when including multiracial African Americans, making up to 14% of the total U.S. populations. According to 2017, it says 45,789,188, what that equaled 14.1%, and it still needs an update that reflects 2018. This information is from 2010. We are an intelligent country, and Wikipedia must correct information that is not misleading and falsely stated to benefit Europeans who are immigrants and converted Americans. The way this looks, African Americans were pushed back while this was happening over 100 years now. Shameful. My next comment proves that immigrants who received their citizenship from Nigeria are referenced as Nigerian America, proving again that white is used as a social convention. Nigerian Americans total population 380,785 total 2016, 0% noted. So I get a message today, or it was today or yesterday. What changes are you proposing? I just see a lot of copy and paste. It looks like you want to claim African Americans are the largest group, and that came from a guy named Evergreen Fur, who has himself listed as a professor at some university back east. I stated, the copy and paste was done to show that the claims I am making is evident by fact and not just my own opinion. The change that needs to occur is that people who migrate from Europe be represented by their said country in order to represent the true diversity of the multiplicity of cultures in the United States. This will allow more fairness, and it allows all Americans to be proud of their real ethnicities represented in the population we live. What I want to see occur is that Americans are not represented by coloration, but by their said ancestry. African Americans are the majority in percentage rates. African Americans are 14.1. The largest group of European Germans are 13.26. The next largest population are Mexican Americans at 11.2. All other ethnicities have a low total percentage in the United States. I am not claiming African Americans are the majority. The statistics says they're the largest group by ethnicity in America. If you can debunk it with credible information, do so. Thank you for your feedback. I go on to represent other groups of people that are non-European that have come to America. The Fijian American total population is 24,629 alone. 32,304, including partial ancestry. They rate at 0.0% in the 2010 census. And I said the information I am posting is from Wikipedia, who has broken down each ethnic group by their true identities. Therefore, the information is already set in typeset and is more credible than using white or black as ethnic identifications. Another example is this, and other ethnicities other than Europeans who are recognized as whites in the current census count. That means the Brazilians, the Spaniards, the Spaniards, the Brazilians, and other countries. They've gone to Armenia. People that were not considered as their so-called white status have been added to make them appear to be a majority. The representation of white and black are both social constructs that were used in a time when American governments governed by race and discrimination. We are no longer living in that age and time. If we are to call ourselves intelligent beings, then we must represent that in our daily lives. We must educate ourselves and our children that black and white racial categories are not the true representations of people in the United States. This must be demonstrated by changing the ethnic groups from black or white to Europeans or Africans, which I made a typo. And I said, please excuse my typo. That was supposed to say Europeans and Africans. There is a problem when you group Europeans as white because it allows for dishonest reporting in the census and population count. Finnish Americans, total population 695,295 in the 2009 census. They represent 0.23% of the U.S. population. For example, according to Wikipedia, Finns are only 0.23% of the total population, but are still represented as a majority group in the United States based on category white and not category Finland. This equates into not reporting the population in its true representation and true diversity. It allows illiteracy and ignorance to manifest itself via racial differences that are false, moreover, are true ethnicities. What I want is that all Americans be represented by their said ancestry. If they're listed here in plain sight, as they're listed here in plain sight, if African Americans are the majority or any other group, it should not reflect that white people are a majority when in actuality there are several groups of minorities as stated in the actual population. Finnish Americans, total population 6,095, 296. And they, as I said, they were 0.23% of the population. So that's when Evergreen came with his comment. He's actually listed himself as a professor at some college in the East. He's also a Trump voter. He says, copy and paste it from another topic to talk above, the definition of race and ethnicity. Morphology, differential population, geneticists have debated whether the concept, I came back and I said at Evergreen, excuse me. Morphology, the definition of race and ethnicity. Morphology, differentiate populations. Population geneticists have debated whether the concept of populations can provide a basis for new conceptions of race. To do this, a working definition of population must be found, such as white, or such as a social construct. Surprisingly, there is no generally accepted concept of population that biologists use. Although the concept of population is central to ecology, evolutionary biology, and conservation biology, most definitions of populations rely on quantitative descriptions such as a group of organisms of the same species occupying a particular space at a particular time. Wapples and Gagagati, whatever is how you say it, identity, two broad types of definitions for populations. those that fall into an ecological paradigm and those that fall into an evolutionary paradigm. Examples of such definitions are ecological paradigms, a group of individuals of the same species that co-occur in space and time and have an opportunity to interact with each other. Evolutionary paradigms, a group of individuals of the same species living in close enough proximity that any member of the group can potentially mate with any other member. Cesardic argues that when several traits are analyzed at the same time, forensic anthropologists can classify a person's race and accuracy to close to 100% based on only skeletal remains. Cesardic claims has been disputed by Massimo Pigliucci, who accused Cesardic of cherry-picking the scientific evidence and reaching conclusions that are contradicted by it. Specific Pigliucci argues that Cesardic represents a paper on Owsley et al. 2009 and neglected to mention that they identified differentiations not just between individuals from different races, but also between individuals from different tribes, local environments, and time periods. This is discussed in a later section. Klein's one crucial innovation in reconceptualizing genotypics and phenotypic variations was the anthropologist C. Lauren Bray's observation that such variations, insofar as it is affected by natural selection, slow migration, or genetic drifts, are distributed alongside geographical gradations or clines. For example, with respect to skin color in Europe and Africa, Brace writes, to this day, skin color graded by imperceptible means from Europe southward around the eastern end of the Mediterranean and up to the Nile into Africa. From one end of this range to the other, there is no hint of a skin color boundary, and yet the spectrum runs from the lightest in the world in the northern edge as dark as it is possible for humans to be at the equator. Apologies regarding my last post. The article read social definitions of race. It is the first topic on the thread. At Evergreen Ford, I noted some of your topics on Talk reveal you voted for Trump. With that said, what do you feel about using colorations as a ratio versus using one's true ancestry via ethnicity such as black and white? My own opinion is that you are just as much non-white as I am non-white. You are just as non-black as I am non-black. So where do you sit there in this topic, seeing you have made several talk posts? What do you expect from these talk topics here on Wikipedia? I would like to build, because neither are we a political party, and neither should that divide us as Americans. I don't agree with Trump's wall based on the wall is being sought on racial basis regarding the declining European population in the United States. It appears that the Republicans think that we are not aware of the demographic change occurring in the United States regarding fertility birth rates declining amongst European Americans. Due to the outcry for a wall, it is obvious it is not as much about Mexican illegals as much it is about the change in demographics. What is your opinion on this? And so I'm waiting for him to come back. So I wanted to just make you aware of that. So I'm going to go to another post here, and this is a video, and I will go over some of the comments on this as she is talking. Okay, what's going on here? I'm going to let her start. This is at 8 minutes, and I will probably try to turn it down when I start talking.
Yes, they want to replace white people. Stay with me, and I'll tell you why.
Listen to her rationales. I'm only going to let her talk so long because she gets on my nerves with her lies.
Is a term originally used by a French writer, Renaud Camus, who used it to describe the demographic replacement happening in France due to mass immigration policies combined with low birth rates among the native French. But of course, this applies to many European countries. The UN literally has a program called replacement migration. The premise behind it is total garbage. They claim replacement migration is needed in the West to help take care of an aging population.
She's not going to read it
Africans, Middle Easterners, and Asians who don't take care of their own people are led into Europe because they're going to be good taxpayers, take care of our old people, and save Western civilization. It's the solution to a declining and aging population. Psh, no one really believes this. Stats show the complete opposite. Migrants in Europe and all over the West cost us greatly, and not just financially. About this aging and dying population not having kids.
Okay. So I've made some comments on here. And then this person says, here are some reasons why manic elites want to replace white people. So anyway, let me go down to the comment section. And I posted 23 hours ago a video called Fear of a Brown Black Planet that I created. So 1 hour ago it says, laugh out loud. The planet has always been more brown than white. We don't fear a brown planet. White people do fear brown people being in charge because they have lower IQs than whites. So my response was this. You established these programs, and these programs came back to bite you in your ass. That's to her. You say there's too many people based on you have too little people. Essentially, you're not white, you're Europeans. When you break down European Americans per country, your stinky bitch, you stinky bitch is already a minority. I don't like her. The largest group of Americans are African Americans. 45,789,188, 14.1% of the population. German Americans are 43,100,000, 13.26% of the population. Mexican Americans are 36,668, 0.8, and 18 at 11.2%. British Americans only 0.6% to total population. French Americans only 3% of the total population. Italian Americans only 5% of the total population. Russian Americans only 1% of the total population. There are no white people to guide this, based on white is an illiterate, antiquated term for identity. Okay, where's my cursor? It doesn't exist. So this racist bitch cannot count on her IQ. Is sitting here, sitting with the declining European population at 0.06%, way below the needed 2.1% to maintain a population. The people who survive the planet will be breathing, the people who survive the planet will be breathing the air and living on it. Not the ones who's going extinct yelling, we have no replacement. So let's just call it genocide. Let's call it the great replacement. Yet it is you who slumped into extinction in 1997 at minus 0.03%, and 1998 at minus 0.05%, and 1999 minus 0.05%, and 2000 minus 0.02%, to come up from extinction in 2001, sitting very close to the 00 line. You know what 00 means when you bell curve beneath the line? Minus presedence rates, meaning you are in extinction mode. Tell me, what does that have to do with us wanting Europeans to have babies? You didn't want your kids. It's you who choose to abort or simply prevent from having kids. It's your own fault that you didn't maintain a 2.0 to 2.1 population growth rates. It's your fertility rates in question, nobody else's. What does that have to do with any other group? Learn to live with your mistakes. You didn't create the planet, nor did you create a universe. You're not responsible for the planet. The universe put it all here. The universe created a diversity and a multiplicity of ethnic groups. You didn't do it, but because you tried to destroy this beautiful planet, the universe has destroyed you. You all are the targets, and it's obvious it is by natural selection. The universe is extincting you off the planet because of your evilness, greed, and propensity to destroy everything you come in contact with. You claim to have higher IQs, but your acuity to survive the planet failed. You're dumbasses. Walls don't stop extinction. Go have babies with your losing ass endgame. And so I'm going to go back up. I got a little time, and let her rant. I want you to hear it. Look how angry she is. And watch how she lies like they're the greatest people in the world when they're in fact dying off the planet.
First, populations have always ebbed and flowed. It's nothing to freak out about. There are still millions of young, fit Europeans in their countries who are having kids. And if you ask me, there are too many people on the planet already. It can't just keep going up and up forever. Secondly,
she said if you ask me, there's too many people on the planet. Why? Because you have so little people on the planet. That's why you're saying it's too many. And see, the universe must feel it's too many too. So that's why the universe is removing some. And you happen to be that target group. Not us. We haven't done anything. Nobody has done anything.
If governments in the UN were so concerned about Europe's low birth rates, they'd easily incentivize a baby boom, like in Russia.
So you see that she admits that they have a low fertility birth rate, and that they should institute a baby boom.
Hungary and Italy. There's a lot they can do to make babies happen. But instead, they open the borders for needy foreigners who eat up resources, welfare, and take territory. The truth is, they don't want more white babies. Let's recall
Listen to her. They don't want more white babies. Honey, you're standing there talking. You should be going and try to make you a baby. Make you 2-3 babies.
My friend Ayla as an example, who issued a white baby challenge in response to low birth rates. She was viciously attacked and shamed by world news. Congressman Steve King was also lambasted for saying, "We can't restore our civilization with somebody else's baby."
And neither can we restore our civilization with having somebody else's babies. We're having our babies. So you're the one not having the babies.
Let's also recall those who say European women who want white children are racist and that white nuclear families help uphold white supremacy. They don't want more white people. The UN...
A white nuclear family would mean that the nuclear is the part of the male. Okay? So if you're not getting pregnant by your nuclear male, that's your problem.
Is a wolf in sheep's clothing. They and other hostile elites hide behind you need workers, taxpayers, people to take care of your old.
That's how you survived. It started out with forced slavery, and then you created a system to keep that in place called low-wage slavery, where you still exploited people for their labor by just giving them a few cents. You make thousands of dollars off of everybody that works in any place. By the time they walk home with their little money at the end of the day, you've made quite a bit of money off that person's labor.
What they really want is to replace white people in white countries. They don't want them to exist in great numbers.
The only white country is Europe. That's the white country. Like I stated, and I believe I stated here on this post farther down, that if Europeans are really concerned about their population, there's 2 point something million of them here, and so many thousands. If you're worried about that, you would get up and you would head back to your homeland and you would start having babies. Matter of fact, when you head back to your homeland, it would increase your population in your said country. Europe. America is not a European country, nor is it a white country.
At all. They want them to be extinct. But extinction won't occur because of mass killings, but encouraged through sly propaganda and government policy.
You see what she says? Extinction won't occur through mass killings, but through government policy. No, it's already occurred. It occurred back in 1997, 1998, 1999, and 2000, when you bell curved down below the 0.0 line into minus percentage numbers. That didn't occur as a result of the government. The government relies on migrants because as we become more and more educated, we don't want to do the domestic jobs such as taking care of your grandparents, that a lot of Africans and Mexicans and people from foreign countries come here and do the dirty job that you don't want to do, taking care of the aging population that you're talking about.
Through mass immigration against our will, coupled with white guilt programming and empty words of equality and claims of an inevitable mixed-race future. Before I go on, I want to clarify they. You may say, but they are mostly white. While many of these elites are actually not, and they don't think of themselves as such, most of those who are white are internationalists, and they're not driven by ethnic allegiance or loyalties to their own group. They only care about themselves, their profits, and their desire to gain more and more power and control. They have grown to hate nations, hate peoples, and differences. These are obstacles for their plans for global...
That would be you.
hegemony. Reasons why they want to replace us. White people are defense number one against globalism and...
Europeans are going extinct. They have a declining population. Unfortunately, several of them died from overdoses between 2009 and 2019. It's like almost over 100,000 in the United States and millions worldwide because opiates are the drug of choice. We've been trying to give you guys some help. Even I've talked to your children and tried to talk them into programs so that they could get some help. So I don't know what you're talking about. You need to tell the truth.
and open borders. We got Trump elected, we voted for a wall, and nationalism is rising in response to globalism.
You voted for a wall for this very reason. So you brought it up, you brought Trump into power, and you voted for a wall because that was to block out the Mexicans that you claim are criminals, but the very man that you hired, 7 people in his cabinet, has gone to prison having to do with the Russia conspiracy. So criminals, go ahead and talk about criminals.
All across the Western world, white people are number one fighting for free speech, liberty, prosperity, and limited
only to their own benefit, such as you're doing right now, which is propagandalize
government. Also holding politicians accountable. We invented these concepts.
No, you didn't. Those concepts were, you did create racism and discrimination. You did. And you're trying to enforce it, even in today's world, because your populations have fallen off and you're dying faster than being born.
Globalists want a dependent, docile, compliant population that is easy to control. That isn't white people. White men established the greatest military systems on the face of the earth. Weapons, military strategy, tactics.
Murdering. So you're promoting military weapons. And watch when she gets to the end of this message. She's sending subliminals right now. No, you guys went around and destroyed the fucking planet. That's why the universe is destroying your ass now. That's why you're being extincted.
Organization, technology, machines, robotics, military equipment, vehicles, even weaponry in space. We fight hard when necessary. Although a few psychotic maniacs have taken control of some European nations, and they clearly have a death wish and love war and violence, the majority of us are good-hearted people who want peace, prosperity, and to be left alone to raise our children.
To the end of this because my video is going to end soon. So I'm going to get up to the 3 minutes where she's got 3 minutes left. Less than that, actually. I'm going to let her finish at the end.
Crap hole in the West, so Europeans will be overtaken demographically, making it more challenging to fight back against those trying to replace us. These elites have studied us for a long time. They have found a way of turning our compassion and willingness to help others against us. This unique trait has become our weakness. These elites want us gone because they want their competition gone and the potential resistance neutralized. They think long-term, and so should you.
How could you be a competition when you're dying out? How could you be a competition when all of the athletes in the United States that are prominent are African Americans? Who's competing against who? Why did you name it race? Because race is a competition. And you placed that competition between yourselves and those that were better than you were the Africans. You went in and you destroyed Africa. You took the people out the plantation. You don't carry monkeys and illiterates from thousands and thousands of miles to go and have monkeys do your dirty work and build you a country unless they have some type of skills and intelligence. And that's exactly what you did. And you've continued that bullshit in different ways. And the universe is tired. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, you got me. Laughed out loud. Remember I told you you got me. Interesting theory you got on her post. Okay, I'm about to go. Love you, Facebook. I will post this next month. Facebook has me on block. But this is what I do. This is why you guys don't see me on Facebook. And when I come back so strong and hard, Facebook comes and gives me a block, which I will share that video with you when I come back in about 15 days. Pseudo. pseudonames, okay? Have a wonderful day, evening, night, and enjoy the rest of your day. Love you. Bye-bye.